Welcome back, everybody, to another C3 Gaming episode. I'm CD3 Daddy.
And I'm C3DG Minecraft.
And today we are talking pumpkins. Now, we are going to be building a farm that Colin and I used last year during DonutSMP's 5 times pumpkin worth event. If you are interested in the pumpkin farm you see behind me, be sure to like, subscribe, and stick around because we will be showing you a tutorial on this as well. But for now, let's get to building. Alright, now we are going to start with a build area of 11 by 11, so that is going to be the footprint of the farm. However, the farm is going to require storage like all farms do, and we are not going to include part of the storage, which we will be building as part of the module, but we will not be including it in the footprint. You will have an additional, I'll just show you right here, you'll stick out a little ways, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. But the base of the farm is 11 by 11. And we're going to start with the storage system. We're going to pick a corner, doesn't matter which one, and we're going to place a rail on that build border. We are going to place 1, 2, 3, 4, and on the 5th one, we are going to break it out and place a redstone block with a powered rail on top, and then we are going to continue with normal rails. When you get to the corner, we are not going to extend over the border. We are going to turn back around, place another redstone block, powered rail, and regular rails, not extending past the border, or you will turn this rail and it will be annoying. But you will continue this pattern all the way across. Now, if you do not want to use redstone blocks, you can actually dig down 2, place a redstone torch, place a solid block on top, and place your powered rail that way. Both will work just fine. Redstone blocks are a little easier to build with, I think. So I'm going to continue this, and I'll be back with you in a moment. All right. Now, to make it easier to grab a schematic, I am going to remove this and swap it back for a redstone block. So let me take care of that real quick. But as you can see, if you follow that pattern, you will end up with one rail extending past the border, snaking all the way across until you reach the opposite corner. Now, instead of doing a weird turnaround for our hopper minecart, I'm just going to grab a lever, and on this turn, I'm going to place a lever right next to it. I'm going to power it, and I'm going to unpower it, and that will turn our rail. So when our hopper minecart makes this last turn, instead of it needing to reverse, it will just continue on. So every rail will be collected twice, with the exception of these 2 outer rails, and that's perfectly fine. All right, now the next thing we are going to be doing is grabbing some dirt. Now, instead of building our dirt platform, we're actually going to start with the observer and piston roof of our farm. And I'm going to start it off by placing dirt on top of one of the corner rails. Now, again, this will be where the pumpkins are growing. So we need to leave a space for those pumpkins to grow. And then we'll have a dirt block on top, which will get rid of that. Now, this dirt at the top is a temporary block. This is what you'll need to do. And in survival, you'll probably have to place your dirt on the rail, tower up, and tower up once more. Break out that middle block. Grab yourself some pistons and observers. The first thing that we're going to do is place down 2 pistons in the corner. Now, you can do this one of 2 ways. You can use temporary blocks in between each of your pistons, just like so, and just know that you'll have to go out and break them later. Now, the easier method is if you are building with a friend, one of your friends jump up top, and once your friend is on top of the farm, he will place an observer next to each piston. And don't fall off like Colin just did, or you'll have to climb right back up. And next to each observer, I will place a piston as well. So observers will always be next to pistons. Pistons will always be next to observers. You will never have two next to each other like this. So if you see that, you have done something wrong. Now you will continue this pattern all the way across with only one exception. If we count out 5 blocks to the middle, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, this should be where your redstone blocks are, or your powered rails, and you will be 5 blocks from both sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When you reach this point, you are going to put some block other than an observer. This will just save space in the long run. We will talk about expanding the farm with multiple modules. Sometimes this is a piston. You definitely want to make sure that you don't put a piston up here because we have to hydrate the farm, and we'll talk about that here in a moment. So go ahead and finish your roof, alternating the pattern. All right, and now we've got that bird's eye view of the farm. So if you are following along, you will have your observers on the outside corners and your pistons diagonal all the way across. Now, if you started with a piston on the outside corner, that is perfectly fine. And again, like I said, when we join the modules together, that will actually happen. But this is how we like to start it, and this is how we like to do it if there's only one module. All right, now the next thing we're going to do is we are going to start building out the gardening bed of our farm. We already have our first dirt block ready to go. Before we do that, we need to hydrate the farm. So you're going to find this center block, and you are going to place dirt blocks on either side of it. And actually, we're going to do it on a third side, because you are going to need a slab or a stair, something that you can waterlog. So I have grabbed just a regular oak slab. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a water bucket. I'm going to waterlog it. And right now, if the water spills over in your rails, that's fine. But go ahead and cap it off. And then you can extend the dirt all the way to the border on all sides. This is where we're going to start building our farm. Anytime you see an observer, we are going to place a dirt block down, grab yourself a hoe, and have your pumpkin seeds ready. You are going to hoe the dirt that is directly underneath the observer, and we are going to place a seed. Once you have done that, you will just continue placing dirt in both directions and making sure anytime you have a dirt block underneath an observer, we hoe it and we plant a pumpkin seed on top of it. Now you'll notice that Colin is going to go in an every other dirt block pattern. What I like to do, once I plant my pumpkin seeds diagonally across like this, I know that the next diagonals are pistons. So I'm just going to plant my dirt. I'm going to do the next 3 are going to be diagonal. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, and do seed, seed, seed. And then of course the last one will be an observer, and then just finish it off with dirt. And you'll do this on all 4 sides, making sure that anytime there's an observer, you will hoe it, plant with a seed, 2 regular pieces of dirt, and then diagonally across once more, planting your pumpkin seeds. Now I'm flying so you can see what I'm doing, but in survival you will be down low. So just make sure that you are paying attention to the dirt blocks underneath the observers. And just like that, all of our pumpkin plants are down, and you can confirm this by looking at our checker pattern. Oh, actually, I missed one. Inevitably, the more you build, you will miss these eventually. So what you would do, just grab yourself an ender pearl, throw it into your farm, crawl in with a hoe and seeds, and plant it that way. Now, sometimes if we want to place down the dirt quickly, we will actually go in and plant all of our plants this way. It's entirely up to you. I prefer the method that we showed you first, but if you want to place all the dirt down and pearl in later, you can certainly do that. All right, now that we have our farm bed built out and our collection system mostly built out, we're going to place a glass border all the way around our farm. And if you have planted your plants, you can actually aim at the hitbox to get your first one started. And I like to use glass simply to see the farm working. This does not have to be glass. It could be any block as long as it will keep the pumpkins from falling out. And just like that, we have our border. Now let's talk about how to connect all of the observers with the pistons. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to break out that temporary block, because one thing that we need to do is Colin is going to place glowstone inside of it. And so I'm going to stand here. So he's just going to aim at that slab and place it directly on top of the slab. Now that glowstone will be enough light for all of your pumpkins. If you are worried about the light on the outside edges, you could replace some of these outer pieces of glass with glowstone, but having one in the middle is plenty of light. Once you have done that, you're going to jump back up on top, and you're going to place a solid block on top of each observer. It doesn't matter what type of solid block you use as long as you are using a solid block. It has to be able to transmit a redstone signal. All right. Now we have a solid block next to everything, with the exception of the one block in the center, which is directly above our oak slab, so we will not be needing an observer there. Once you have solid blocks down, you can do one of two things. You can grab yourself some redstone dust, or you can grab yourself some note blocks. They will both function the same way. You could put note blocks. I like to use redstone dust because it's cheaper. It's a little bit more annoying to place down, so if I'm in a hurry and I have a surplus of note blocks, I will build the entire thing out of note blocks. I won't even use these solid blocks. Alright. Once you have your solid blocks and your redstone dust down, you can actually hear them firing every time a pumpkin stem grows. The pistons will fire. So that tells us that it is working, just like that. All right. Now, we do want to address one troubleshooting step before it happens. If you have watched other tutorials, they may tell you to put these solid blocks on top of the pistons and to put the redstone dust on top of the observers. Now, while this will work, you will see that if I grab some bone meal and I force an update to this pumpkin stem, the piston does fire. However, when you are placing down redstone dust like this, it is very common to accidentally click one of the redstone dust that you've already placed. And if it has clicked and it is in the red dot orientation instead of the cross orientation, it will not trigger the pistons. Whenever the let me grab some more pumpkin seeds. Whenever the piston fires, it is triggering the observer, but the observer is not triggering the pistons because there is nothing connected to the dot. So if you're in Bedrock and you're playing on DonutSMP, this is a feature that is specific to Java. This will also affect you. The only difference is your texture will not show you that it is not in a cross pattern. So that is why we recommend to go against the other tutorials out there. Place the solid block on top of the observer and the redstone dust on top of the piston, because no matter what orientation the redstone dust is in, whether it's a dot or whether it is a cross, it will always fire. So if you find yourself with pistons not firing, first make sure that you followed our example, placing the solid blocks on the observer and not the other way around. But if you did, you don't have to replace every single one, just find the redstone dust that is not in the cross pattern. All right, your farm is pretty much complete. The only thing left is funneling our pumpkins to a storage system. All right, let's talk storage systems. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to extend this out to blocks. We are going to have to go up, and if we start any closer, our hopper minecart will get stuck on the corner of the dirt. So just extend it out 2 more blocks past our border. And this is where I said that our farm fits inside the 11 by 11, but our storage system does not. All right, now we aren't going to build a giant storage system for this farm just yet. Last year, Colin and I had a 5 by 5 chunk pumpkin farm, and we had it fully equipped with a dropper vader for our storage. So we will get to that. But if you're building a farm like this, a simple storage system, you can build it as big as you want, but just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to do 1 chest just for now, and I'm just going to run a hopper line to signify that our pumpkins can be sent anywhere you want it. From the rail that is on top of our build border, we're going to extend it 2 rails, place a normal rail on top, and then place a hopper into that hopper line wherever you're sending it, whether you're sending it this way, that way, it doesn't matter. Place a powered rail on top of that second hopper, and then we're going to place a comparator looking at the hopper with the powered rail on top. You are going to grab yourself a solid block, place it on top of the comparator. In front of your comparator, place another solid block with a redstone torch on top, solid block on top of the redstone torch, and redstone dust on the solid block. Colin, if you wouldn't mind placing a hopper minecart on top. Alright. If you followed me earlier, you will see that we have now sent the minecart back, so we are skipping those last 2, but we are collecting each one twice. When the hopper minecart returns, if there's nothing in the hopper minecart will just continue the pattern over and over. If you are leaving your base for any reason, you are going to teleport away. I recommend putting a switch on the back. That way you can turn your hopper minecart off. If you teleport away with it in the middle of your farm when you return, chances are it will get stuck and you'll have to pearl under and move your minecart manually. So placing a lever on the solid block next to the comparator will allow you to turn it on and off, and turning it back on, it will continue collecting. So we are going to sit back and wait for our plants to grow. We're actually probably going to pearl in there and bone meal the plants so you can see it in action. All right, as you can see, we went ahead and went in there and bone milled everything, and that was perfect timing. The pumpkins are starting to pile up, and that is perfect. So we are going to turn the farm on and watch all those pumpkins get collected. All right. Now this is a much smaller farm, but if you let it run for an hour, you can see up to 4.5 stacks in an hour. So it's not going to make you a millionaire overnight. However, we can expand on this concept. This farm is extremely repeatable, and we have laid out a couple little outlines to explain it. Now, if this is your base farm, we have already placed the farmland down. We have the observers and pistons in the orientation. All you would do is you would count 4 additional blocks from where your farm ends. And the reason you have to do 4 is because water can hydrate a maximum distance of 4 blocks. And unlike some of the other features in Minecraft, the hydration does travel diagonally 4 blocks as well. So it is a 4 block by 4 block area off of each corner. So that will be a total of 9 by 9. That's why we have the 11 by 11 platform. So if you are going to extend this every 8 blocks in every direction, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you will need water. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, water. All right. Now, once you have decided how large you want your farm, again, every 8 blocks you will place water, and above the water you will place the light source of choice, so sea lantern or glowstone. That is required to make pumpkins grow, so you will have to be sure to place those down. The only difference between the farm that we have as a single module and a multi-module is when you are placing down your observers and your pistons. When you get to the end of the farm, you will notice that... Colin, can you replace those with observers for me? When you get to the end of the farm, you'll notice that the corner block is going to be a piston instead of an observer, and that is perfectly fine. You did not mess up. That is because when we have an uneven number of rows, 9 in total, we will land on the same block. When you have 18, it is even, and so you will end with a piston. But you will keep the pattern identical. Piston, observer, swapping it on the way back. When you get to the glowstone, same thing applies. So Colin, replace these with observers. Unlike the first farm that we built off of, the center block was an observer. In this case, the center block would be a piston. Now, if you place an observer in the middle block, it's not going to matter because it will never observe anything. It's not going to break your farm. However, if you do place a piston on top of your glowstone, chances are you will break it if you connect it. Or if you do connect it, you absolutely will break it. So just be sure that you skip the glowstone. Other than that, the pattern is identical. And when you are done building the farm, however large you want it, just cap off the end with glass or a building block of choice. That way your pumpkins stay inside of your farm. Alright, now as I said earlier, instead of doing the checker pattern with these solid blocks and redstone dust, you could just do the entire roof out of redstone, or out of note blocks. And the reason that is, whenever an observer powers the note block, it will also trigger the note block over the piston, and due to quasi-connectivity, it will actually fire that piston. So you'll see very quickly that everything is fired. So that is the easiest way to build it if you can afford all of the note blocks, and I think it sounds pretty cool too. A couple other updates that you can make to your farm if you do not want to go the route of the minecart. There are some issues. If you're building this in a survival world, I would definitely recommend the minecart method. However, if you're building this in a survival SMP like DonutSMP or any other SMP that minecarts can be lagged out due to teleportation or other world issues, you can do an entire hopper array Now this one is just a straight hopper line. Every single block has a hopper underneath it, and then you would run these hoppers off into your storage system, wherever that may be. However, I am not a fan of hopper spam. Hoppers can cause a lot of lag in and of themselves, so I prefer the hopper minecart method. But if you did want to do it this way, just be sure that you don't end up with any hoppers that repetitively transfer items back and forth. Make sure that all your hoppers have an exit point. Last thing to note on hoppers, you can skip every other block, and the block that I choose to skip is the one where the plant is growing. You can't always skip it because a hopper has to have a line somewhere, but if you do skip every other one, it should be just fine. Now this is the same quasi connectivity, but instead of redstone dust, instead of note blocks being the trigger, it's solid blocks. So it's still a checker pattern. This is more like the hybrid of all note blocks versus redstone dust. This is still quasi connectivity, but it's still a checker pattern. So to see it in action, we can break one of the pumpkins. And it looks like this one didn't have a stem connected. So and this will actually trigger once this grows in another orientation. But you'll see that none of the pumpkins were left up top, even though the hoppers were skipping every other one. Just be careful when you're doing this method, because the hoppers, it's a lot harder to trace, and you may have a choke point. So those are the two alternatives to the hopper minecart. All right, well, that about wraps it up for this video. We will be doing 2 more tutorials for pumpkin farms, including the one that you see behind me. The next one is going to be a vertical pumpkin farm to make harvesting a little bit easier and more automated. But for now, I'm CD3 Daddy.
And I'm C3DG Minecraft.
And we will see you in the next episode.